Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, trader Steve here at LogiFX Trading. Welcome to our trading room recording on Wednesday the 27th. Nope, I'm telling you lies. Wednesday the 28th of July 2021. Big day today for the dollar, folks. Let's just get straight into it. Inflation rate in Australia come in at 3.8 as forecast. Not 100% sure if that's going to do anything. It is on, on forecast. Okay, Germany consumer confidence come in at minus 0.3, forecast 1, so that's down. Canada core inflation yet to come out, and the United States interest rate decision and press conference later today, which is 7 o'clock for me. Which, well, you can work out your own time zone to see when that is. Well, obviously, I'll be keeping an eye on Bloomberg all day today to see if they've any ideas about what's potentially going to be said and what will potentially happen, given the fears of Delta. I suspect the Fed is going to remain dovish. No, that's just my speculation, guys. But if they see headwinds, they see anything out there that is going to, put a headwind on the economy getting back to full flow, then they're just going to come out and say, we see it. We see the what we believe to be transitory inflation. We're not overly concerned about that. The most important thing for us is to get everyone back into employment, to get the economy going again, and to keep everybody safe in the meantime, so far as payments and rent and buying food, etc., is concerned. So they're just going to keep spending money, I think, guys, which means that maybe the dollar drops today. I'm in it short again, guys. It was moving nicely. It's come back up a little bit. I'm going to put a stop loss in, a type stop loss, guys. If it shoots off long today, then so be it. I'll lose a few dollars on it, but it could be worth being in it in case the Fed remains dovish and you do see a nice move down on the dollar, because I think it could come back down to the bottom of that channel unless the Fed surprises us today. Okay, that's my view. Doesn't mean it's right, guys, but we're never right until it happens, and then we look back and go, yeah, I called that. That's the reality of forecasting, and it's the same for everyone, but not everyone's going to tell you the truth. All they'll do is they'll point out the times they got it right, and they'll forget about the times that they got it wrong. But the reason that I talk about the times we get it wrong is because we learn when we get things wrong. We learn. We never learn when we get something right, because we pat ourselves in the back when we get something right and we think we know it all. But the times we get something wrong, it makes us take a step back and go, right, how did I get that wrong? What is there to learn from it? So we always focus here anyway on what we get wrong rather than what we get right. Well, not always, more often than not. Okay, right. So that's what we're looking at today. I want to just quickly look at Flipboard. There's a lot of interesting stories in here, guys, because I'm just trying to switch this up a little bit, because just going through the same charts every day is fine when something's happening, but if nothing much is happening, then it's a bit repetitive, guys. So just go and throw a few other bits in on a daily basis. I used to do this every day, but the recording started becoming a bit long. Sometimes we're doing an hour and a half, and it's too much to ask people to listen to, guys. So we'll throw this in today anyway. Amazon denies accepting Bitcoin, sends it toppling. This is a day ago, guys. It didn't really send Bitcoin tumbling, and other people are saying that this didn't really have anything to do with the move up in the first place. Yet again, sometimes it's about fitting what's happened to a story, and there isn't always that correlation. But nonetheless, a day or so ago, we had the big move up in Bitcoin, and it did correspond with Amazon. A rumor running around that Amazon were going to start accepting Bitcoin. The danger for any business, guys, and I've run lots of businesses. My background's mine management. I was a manager of South African gold mine back in my 30s, dealing with millions of dollars a month budgets and thousands of people. The thing about a business is it needs to know, it needs the stability of knowing what. Ooh, let's just stop that. It's a pound moving. It needs to know what value it's bringing in, in dollar terms. And Bitcoin's all over the place. So how do you accept Bitcoin? If you go back, Tesla said they're going to accept payment in Bitcoin for their cars. So let's say it costs them, I don't know what a car costs, guys, or I know what a car costs, but I don't know what a Tesla costs. Let's say it costs them $50,000 to produce a Tesla, and they sell it for $65,000 or whatever it is, and that's the value of one Bitcoin at the time. That's great. So they get what they want in dollar terms via Bitcoin. What happens when what just happened occurred, that it drops down to $30,000, and now the company's being paid $30,000 for something that cost them $50,000 to produce? You can't run a business like that, guys. And that's why I don't know that Bitcoin will ever be, until it gets to the point where it settles down the way a normal currency is. I don't see that how it could ever be used as a currency. Now, I could be wrong, but certainly at the moment, I would not be accepting Bitcoin if I owned a business. Other than if you thought you were accepting it and you thought it was going to go higher and higher and higher, and you could afford to put the Bitcoin to one side. But remember, companies like Tesla also have shareholders. And at the end of the year, if you've lost money by dabbling in Bitcoin, and you're supposed to be making money through creating cars and other things, I know they do other things as well, your shareholders are going to say, what are you doing? You're just gambling. So the whole idea of this becoming mainstream anytime soon, I don't think it's going to happen. It could be digital gold, guys, safe haven. That doesn't mean you don't invest in it, guys, but these stories aren't necessarily going to come true. China state media moves to reassure rattled investors after wipeout of 574 billion off the stock market. Yet again, this was yesterday's news, guys. And we did talk about this yesterday as the Chinese market, the Chinese 50, dropped like a stone. And I did say that I'll go and have a look, but I couldn't get Shanghai up on eToro. So the next best thing was Hong Kong. I had a look through a few of them, guys, of 130 or 134 or something like that off them. And then I realized this is a long-term project, guys, and you can't just go. I suppose you could skim through and maybe take a chance on a company or two because it's dropped because of this. The whole story behind this was that the Chinese state had said that those companies who were making money online for education, they were going to make them non-profit. And that's the problem with working in a communist state, guys. They can just turn around and go, see that business you built up for the last 10 years? We're going to turn you into non-profit. So, would you really want to work on those conditions? So it caused everything to drop because they could possibly turn around and say, you see that, we're going to take that. You see that, we're going to take that. But I don't think they'll do that with their tech, which is the reason why we were looking for some opportunities. It was stretching me too much, guys, so I'm going to stick with the NASDAQ. But if any of you guys know anything about the Hong Kong, there's possible opportunities in there after that drop. Investment veterans say Amazon's plans didn't cost Bitcoin. Oh, that's a repeat of that story, guys. Tesla made record second quarter profit. We did talk about that yesterday. Share price dropped. And this seems to be what this seemed to be a bit of a story this year, guys, that companies come out with beats. They beat their forecast earnings, and the share price drops. And basically what it seems to be is profit taking. So yesterday then we had Alphabet, Starbucks, Microsoft and Apple also coming out with their quarterly earnings. The only one I was in was Microsoft, but I closed it. I took a little bit of profit I had in it, and I said to myself, even if they beat their forecast earnings, it'll still drop, which it did. It dropped by 3%. Well, I haven't looked at it on the chart, guys, but I read a news story that said that it's dropped by 3%. So I'm glad that I got out of that. It saved a little bit of profit I had in it. IMF upgrades UK economic forecast. Pound went up across the board yesterday. I had, at one point for about 20 minutes, I just had alarm after alarm going off, and they were all the pound. Unfortunately, didn't really move much further than hit the alarms, but nonetheless, the economic forecast has been upgraded. The stock market is undervalued compared to where it was before the pandemic started, and the pound is undervalued compared to where it was when the pandemic started. So there's possible upside to both the pound and the FTSE. But yet again, you need to know what you're investing in, guys. Crypto price prediction. Bitcoin could be left in the dust by Ethereum. I bought a little bit of Ethereum, guys, because as I've said, I do have a Coinbase account. So I just threw some money into Ethereum. I have Bitcoin, but I thought just small amounts, guys. We're talking about $1,000 or so, and I'll maybe build that up. We'll see. Apple reports record-breaking Q3 2021 earnings revenue of $81 billion, and apparently the share price went down. But yet again, we'll have a look at that in a minute. IMF warns against adopting crypto assets like Bitcoin as a legal tender. Miners drag FTSE 100 into the red. Unfortunately, the little bits of FTSE I do have are miners, so they drew down yesterday, guys. My gamble's not really the right word. It's an insurance policy, guys. These are big, solid companies that aren't going to drop through the floor. They've been around for 50, 60, some of them 100 years. So it's kind of just a little insurance policy. Yes, the share price can drop, but if you take it over the year or over 2 or 3 years, they will make a profit for me. And if gold takes off, well, these weren't, Rio Tinto isn't gold, but if gold takes off, just from a miner's point of view, we will do really, really well. And why would gold take off if we get a crash in the market? So yet again, it's a insurance policy. Crashes, I keep saying crash, guys. I don't mean a crash, a correction. We're not going to get a crash. We could get a correction. Bitcoin will be worth $1 million in less than 10 years. It's somebody's opinion, guys, but if you believe even it's going to be worth $100,000 over the next few years, maybe it's worth throwing a wee bit of money at. A little bit of money at it. And but I won't be doing it in our eToro account because I don't want it throwing the figures out if it drops like a stone. These three high-yield blue chips are up over 50% and set to store. It's news articles like this that I like to do a little bit of research on. Don't know if they're going to allow us in, are they? Yeah, they've allowed us in. Unless you're an account holder, these only allow you to see 3 or 4 articles a week or a month or something. So I'll maybe have a look at some of those later on, guys, just to see. Well, they've actually given us quite a bit of information there, but there's a process that you need to go through before you invest your money. And then finally, Jim Cramer reacts to Alphabet, Starbucks, Microsoft, and Apple earnings. Basically, what he said is, guys, these are juggernauts. they're going to remain juggernauts. Yes, share prices dropped a little bit because everything was poison yesterday. Everything dropped yesterday, guys. It was just another one of those little nightmare days. But he takes a longer view on things, as you should, so far as stocks are concerned. And he's basically saying, listen, they might drop today again, and they might even drop on Friday. But at some point in the next week or so, maybe you can pick them up 3, 4, 5% cheaper than what they were yesterday. Okay. And this Flipboard is public. You can subscribe, guys. And followers 479. Okay, let's see if we can get that up a little bit. So where are we now? Over to the charts. These are the alarms that have gone off overnight. US oil, Bitcoin, Aussie CAD, Euro USD, and the pound yen was the one that went off while we were talking earlier, I assume. Oh no, it was oil. It was the bottom one. Oil went off. Okay. So what I did yesterday was I've added the Hang Seng, the Hong Kong market, guys. And you can see it dropped as well, but there was a little bit of a rebound overnight. And that was kind of what I was thinking about when we were talking yesterday and saying that you might find some opportunities after that drop. Of course, if you go back and you look at this, there certainly could be a bit more downside to it. But I would imagine that you'll get something this from wherever it stops. But yet again, you've got to go and look at individual companies and decide there's something you want to be in, and you think that the share price will be up at some point in the future. And this is a relatively good place or a good price to buy it at. That has to be your bottom line, guys, not just the technicals. Okay, let's go. Quick look at the yen. Still bouncing along there. And the Swiss. Not really getting much from that. Trend running somewhere like that. Not much more to be said about that at the moment. There's the NASDAQ yesterday, guys. We drew that. Yes, we were sitting here yesterday and we drew that. And we said that it wouldn't be surprised if we got another correction down into the bottom of the channel. I don't know if that's going to continue to happen, guys, but nonetheless, what I would say is that if you can get a little bit defensive, maybe it'd be a good time to do it, because any time it gets away from the trend, it tends to come back, and gets away from the trend, it tends to come back, guys. That's not a given, but we did give that nice move. Now, see, this morning there's a bit of a recovery, so hopefully we claw back a little bit of the money that was lost yesterday. Dow Jones didn't move much yesterday. And the S&P, it dropped a little bit, but it's a bit of recovery there. Now, just look at my notes here from what I picked up from Bloomberg this morning. Yes, it was the worst day for NASDAQ in 2 months. Okay, we talked about the Hang Seng. There's green on the screen in Europe, but not much, guys. They're not up massively, but it's green rather than red, which is a good thing. We talked about the pound up yesterday, probably due to the lower COVID numbers. And although we do have to keep an eye on those COVID numbers, because England was opened up a week ago, and they reckon it'll take a couple of weeks. If that's going to give a spike, it'll take a couple of weeks for that to come through. So through next week as well, we'll keep an eye on those numbers. And if they continue to drop, that will be good news for the US economy, guys, because they're watching it like a hawk. And if they can see that the numbers drop in the UK despite the fact they're fully opened, then it'll take the fear factor away. And of course, if more people will step up and get a little jab in your arm that you don't even feel, good idea. Um, it's actually incredible. I don't know what it is in people's heads that makes them want to not protect themselves against this virus that's not just killing people, but making some people very, very poorly, damaging their lungs, damaging their liver, etc. Why would you not want protection from it unless you didn't believe in the protection? But then the evidence is out there. I was just thinking about it yesterday, guys, just looking through Facebook with a few friends, and there's one particular friend, and I don't know if she's an anti-vaxxer, but she's certainly been posting an awful lot of stuff that's against vaccines. And I thought about contacting her and saying, hey, you do know that every single one of your friends is doubly vaccinated and we're all still here. But then I thought, oh, let people make their own minds up. So I just left it. But I studied science at school, guys. I studied biology to A level and did really well in it. So I have an understanding. I actually even worked in a virology lab when I was waiting to go to South Africa. I worked there for a year, waiting for all my paperwork to come through. So maybe I've just got a little bit more understanding of vaccines and how they work, and viruses and the damages they can do. Anyway, there you go. Nikkei, doing a bit of waffling this morning, guys. Nikkei still in that downward correct structure, but I do think eventually it'll break out long. UK, I really invest in the UK and the NASDAQ, guys. There's enough companies in there for me to get my head around, never mind starting to add others, but this gives us an idea of what's going on across the board. It's up there. Could spike up from here, guys. But in reality, if you're just looking at this, you wouldn't be surprised to see it dropping again within that before you get the breakout. And why would it drop? Well, maybe the COVID numbers go bad next week. And then it drops. And then once it starts looking good, it comes back up again. You can't always explain the reasons why the charts do what they do, guys. It's a waste of time. The main thing is that when something's spiked up, always wait for some sort of correction before you try and get into it, guys. And if you're already in something, sometimes things will go. If you're already in it, well then, and you believe it's going to continue to go, then get your stop losses in and trail them so you don't lose everything that you've gained. Yet again, this looks like it could go. It's edging up there. And by the way, just back onto the UK, I know we've probably mentioned it before, but let's just have a look at it again on the daily. Look, they're still well below the values of last year before the drop. So there's certainly value in there, guys. The French isn't. The French is pushed on through. So potentially Brexit could still have something to do with the UK being behind the eight ball, as they say. I don't know. I don't play pool. Germany, yet again, it's broken through its levels, the level it was at. But nonetheless, you wouldn't be surprised if it ran flat for a while. China starting to recover from the big sell-off. I thought it would, guys. But yet again, you have to know what stock you're going to get into. But I did think that was oversold, and I do think it will recover from here, folks. And there's the Hang Seng, also oversold and started its little move up. And I do believe that it will recover. I don't know if it will recover from there directly. There could be a few more shocks. But nonetheless, if you're looking at this chart in 6 months' time, I think it'll be up there somewhere. And the same with the Chinese, guys. If you're looking at this in 6 months' time, it'll be up there somewhere. Maybe even sooner. Aussie 200. It's running flat. Wouldn't be surprised if it dropped and came back up again. And the Russell, that's looking like a nice little setup to go. This was just speculation that if it dropped to there, you'd really get good value for money. Remember, you're always looking to buy a company undervalued, cheaper than what it's worth. DXY. Set the alarm off again yesterday. It's done a little bit of a recovery. It could be setting up, guys, to go long within this channel. So, but I'm also looking at it potentially like this, that this is the start of the drop. I honestly don't know which it is, and it'll depend entirely on what the Fed says. Excuse me, about what the Fed says today, folks. Is it worth gambling on? I'm not really sure, guys. I know I've gambled on it, but I'm not really sure that I might close them. As I did over there and lost out, and I closed out here somewhere as well and lost out, and that opened again somewhere here. It went up, it's dropped, so I'm in the green at the moment by not much. Maybe I just put my stop loss pretty tight, guys, and if it takes off up, then I'm out of it. But structurally, and this is part of the reason that I keep calling this short, guys, is that I'm looking for this to run flat, meaning it's going to range. It's near the top of the range. It looks like we've got diversion here, or we have got diversion there. You know, the high probability move technically should be that. We'll leave it at that. I can't say any more than that. I can't say to you it's definitely going to do that, guys, because I don't know. And this as well, that sort of structure, okay, sometimes it does run like that. But generally speaking, if it's a running flat and then it moves out of there, you don't get the sort of divergence that you have here. It doesn't mean 100% that it's going to go long. But if someone were to say to me, you know, you have a 50-50 coin toss, which direction would you call this? I would call it long. Pound, there's the pound already starting to move up. Of course, if the dollar today goes long, this will drop. But if it doesn't and it goes short today, you'll see this continuing on up. Aussie, we're looking for that. We'll just run through these quickly. Nothing's changed during the week. We're looking for that. This is usually the sign that you're going to get a move like that. CAD could be setting up for another drop. Sweden, this is the other one that I'm in. It's moved into the green. Nothing decisive yet. I think today could be the day. The yen I'm not sure about, folks. The Swiss I'm not so sure about. Although, possibly. Chinese yuan. It's correcting that little move. I don't know. Don't know enough about the yuan. Gold looks like it's setting up to go long. If the dollar drops, gold will go long. Silver took a little nosedive the other day, but we have been looking for it to come down, maybe even into there, guys. You know, we drew this a while back and said if it got down to there, we would put more money into PSLV. And I'll possibly do that. Of course, it could drop further, but I imagine if it comes down to there, it'll at least be worth taking a chance to buy in. And by the way, guys, I've done something like 750 of these recordings before now. They're all on the website. Obviously, there's no point in going back and looking at them now because they're all about the here and now. But the point of it is I've been doing these for quite a few years, or I don't know, 750, 2-3 years. But when we were here, I called this long. Now, the one thing I will say about forecasts is that it doesn't mean there aren't going to be surprises along the line. But from here, I called silver long. And the only thing that spoiled the forecast was the pandemic, guys. But we couldn't have, we couldn't have called the pandemic. But from down here, we said it was way undervalued, $14, $15 for silver, guys. And at the peak there, it was up to 30. It doubled in price in, how long was that? Just over a year. It doubled in price, guys. Now, obviously, that would have blown everybody out of the water. But anyone that got back in there or there and hung in there would have done really well out of it, guys. I think there's more upside to it. Doesn't mean that there can't be, dips and troughs and running flat, but I do think there's more upside to it. If you consider where it's been in the past. I'm not saying it's going to get to 50, but it could certainly move into this area here, guys. And the same for gold. Although not so much. Let's go back a little bit in gold. Put it on the weekly. Yeah, gold is pretty high. But we also call this long from down here, guys. When I say we, I mean I. Just trying to not be bombastic, guys. Yeah, when it was down here, we called this, I think, in and around here somewhere, we called this long. Just having a little think about it here, guys. You wouldn't be surprised if you got a bit more of a correction on this, but 38% on that move. I'm thinking more about inflation, folks. As a hedge against the markets dropping, that's the reason I'm in gold. Okay, Bitcoin. There's the move we've had over the last couple of days. And I've caught little bits off it, guys, as I say, with Coinbase, and then we had a nice little 23% trade on it in our eToro account. But this, with Coinbase, I got involved in Coinbase over here somewhere, guys. So I'm just breaking even now with Coinbase. It'll need to push on up for me to make any profit out of that. But to be quite honest, I think I'm just going to hold on to that account for the next few years just to see what happens with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if it were to drop again, I'd maybe buy a little bit more, looking for the big push up. Oil. Oh, there's that alarm that went off, guys. Nothing to get too excited about. I don't see oil up here in the short term. I think in the long term it will probably go up there. But in the short term, I see it running flat, basically because they've increased production. EuroCAD. I don't know. This will all depend on what the dollar does, guys. This will go in the opposite direction to the dollar. Euro Aussie, pushing on up. I would have liked to have seen it coming down there. Euro New Zealand is kind of running flat. Nothing much to get excited about there. Potential upside to that. Potential upside to that. And maybe the gold price doesn't move in the short term. Maybe it's down the line a little bit that the gold price moves. So you could get a move, certainly to the top of the channel anyway, in this, provided the dollar goes short, guys. Pound CAD. Well, there's the move in the pound. Yes, remember, on 4 hours here, so that was actually quite a nice move there. 130 pips or thereabouts if you're a pip counter. What do you do next with this? Well, when did I draw that? I certainly drew it before this happened. So what I was kind of doing is saying that this will probably run a bit like that and eventually break out. So we've had the upside. Are we going to get a downside, and then you can try and trade it long again? I've got a problem with trading against the CAD. I just don't like doing it, guys. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but and then of course the pound Aussie. What I said about this is that yesterday, if you remember, I said it could push on up, but if you're not in it, then you're going to have to wait for a setup to get back in it. And if you are in it, from down here, do you remember I was talking about that? I said, well, then push your stop loss up, because if it goes, then you're still in it. And if it drops, then at least you protect the bit that you've already made. So what's going to happen to this next? I imagine you'll get a correction, and then you'll get another move up. I'll rearrange those lines later. Pound New Zealand, well, we did say it was going to break out long, guys. I didn't trade it, but I did say it would break out long. Pound Swiss, nice move up. I was in this. Did I close it? I think I closed it. Let's have a look. I did. I closed it for 1.34%. I'm just a bit jittery at the minute, guys. Just a bit jittery. Just with all the drawdowns yesterday, I just saw a little bit of green. And there again, Microsoft, as I said, I closed it 3%. And I thought, well, that's going to drop. Even if they do beat their earnings, it's going to drop. So I just took it. And as you say, normally we're looking for a minimum of 5% before we close things. Let's go back over. Pound Euro, nice little move up as well there. And this, depending on what happens to the euro, if the dollar goes long, the euro will drop, and this will continue on up. And probably the opposite will happen if the dollar goes short, or sorry, the dollar goes long, guys. Oh, hold on. Let me get that right. Yeah, if the dollar goes short, then this will come down. The dollar goes long, then this will go long, because the euro will go short. Okay. Pound yen came back up. We were looking for a breakout. Yet again, if you had been brave enough to get in down there, you'd be in a nice trade now. Aussie yen, possibly. Aussie New Zealand, there's a little alarm gone off there. Certainly looks like it's getting ready to go long, folks. Aussie Swiss, not sure about that. Aussie CAD, don't want to trade it, but let's have a look. It's pushed on down. Let's take that arrow out. $4, guys, that's quite a strong move, although it's coming into that area again. If you did take it from there, remember, if you're going to take a trade, you need to get down into lower time scales to have a look at it, guys. If you were looking for this to drop, say you had an alarm on there and it went, well, you'd be nicely in the green with that. So you get your stop loss to 0 and then hope that it blows on through there. And if it doesn't and it comes back up, then you haven't lost anything, folks. But you don't buy in there, because there's a pretty good chance that it will either rebound off there or off there, in which case, if you've bought on there, you're going to lose money. So the place to buy this would have been back over here, guys. But I don't go into these details here on, on these overviews, guys, because we'd be here all day. Let's clean this up. It's in a flat correction. And I'll be honest, yet again, I have no idea which way it's going to break out. The one thing that would give you a clue from a technical point of view is that, because you would often look for the other side of that, because it's a zigzag, guys. So that's a bit exaggerated. A zigzag. Does that mean it's definitely going to drop and come down to there? No. But it's at the top of the range. We have an impulse into it. Wouldn't be surprised if we get an impulse out of it. But I would go and look at the Swiss and the yen and see, is there a reason why the Swiss would weaken or the yen would strengthen before I would actually try and trade that. CAD Swiss. This is one I might just take a chance to trade it long from here. Of course, it could drop a bit more, but this is one of my favourite trades. CAD Yen. It's a nice little move up there. Is that going to break out? Take one or the other of those two, guys. Don't take both of them, because they'll either both be right or they'll both be wrong. And if they're both wrong, then you're going to hit yourself. Not literally, but you're going to take a hit. That's what I mean. Not hit yourself. New Zealand yen, I don't have a take on it at the minute, guys. New Zealand CAD, yet again, you see that little push there in the CAD. Is that going to continue? You know, I'll have to have a think about that structurally. And then New Zealand Swiss certainly looks like it's getting ready to go long, guys. Everything's scraping the bottom of the barrel at the minute, guys, as far as interest rates are concerned, as far as economies are concerned, as far as, printing money. So it's difficult to find a fundamental reason why one currency would be stronger than the other. So with no leads at the minute as far as currencies are concerned, which is the reason why I'm focusing so much on stocks at the moment, folks. And just round up very quickly, we'll go and look at Microsoft for a start. Where is it? Must be in here. This was supposed to be fast. Let me pause it to find these guys. Okay, there's Microsoft. Ooh. Oh dear, it was a waste of time selling it yesterday, guys, because it's back up to where it was. It's going to open the same place it was yesterday. I thought that maybe we got a little bit of a deeper move down on it, and then buy back in again there, but it's come back up again. There you go. What else we're looking at? Starbucks. I don't have Starbucks. Apple. Let's just put APPL in here. Oops. Nope. Let's look for it over here. I don't think I've ever invested in Apple. Oh, Apple's down today, guys, so maybe there's an opportunity there to buy into Apple. Alphabet. Let's Google. No, I know I don't have Alphabet. So let's go and get Alphabet up. Alphabet, there it is there, folks. Yet again, a nice drop yesterday, but a recovery today. So maybe you buy into it. I'm not convinced, guys. Okay, I'll have a look at those and we'll talk about them tomorrow, or else I'll put a little video out today on those. Okay, that'll do for now, guys. Speak to you again later. Bye for now.